There comes a moment in life when you must make a difficult decision, a decision that many people avoid because it is uncomfortable, emotional, and sometimes painful. It is the decision to stop allowing toxic people to have control over your peace, your energy, and your future. Many people spend years trying to change others. They hope that one day the person who constantly criticizes them will become supportive. They hope that the person who lies will become honest. They hope that the person who creates drama will suddenly bring peace. But one of the hardest truths to accept is that you cannot change someone who does not want to change themselves. Life is already challenging enough. Every day presents obstacles, responsibilities, and uncertainty. The last thing you need is someone who deliberately adds negativity to your journey. Yet many people continue carrying the emotional weight of toxic relationships because they are afraid of being judged, rejected, or left alone. Toxic people rarely arrive in your life wearing a warning sign. Sometimes they appear as friends. Sometimes they are coworkers. Sometimes they are people you have known for years. Their influence often grows slowly. At first, the criticism seems harmless. The manipulation seems small, the disrespect seems occasional, but over time, these behaviors become patterns. What once felt like a minor problem becomes a constant source of stress and emotional exhaustion. A toxic person does not simply affect your mood. They affect your mindset. They make you question your abilities. They make you doubt your dreams. They drain your confidence and distract you from your purpose. While you are busy managing their negativity, your own growth begins to suffer. Think about how much potential has been lost because of the wrong people. How many opportunities were ignored because someone convinced you that you were not capable? How many goals were abandoned because someone filled your mind with fear? How many dreams were delayed because you spent more time defending yourself than believing in yourself? The people around you matter. They influence your thoughts, your habits, and your standards. If you spend enough time around negativity, negativity begins to feel normal. If you spend enough time around excuses, excuses begin to sound reasonable. If you spend enough time around people who refuse to grow, eventually your own growth begins to slow. This is why protecting your environment is not selfish. It is necessary. You must understand that not everyone deserves access to your life. Access to your time, attention, and emotional energy should be earned through respect, honesty, and genuine care. Some people want the benefits of your presence while contributing nothing positive in return. They take your energy but never replenish it. They demand your support but disappear when you need theirs. They celebrate your failures and feel threatened by your success. The moment you recognize these patterns, you must have the courage to act, not with anger, not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You do not need to fight every battle. You do not need to explain every decision. You do not need permission to protect your peace. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is quietly walk away. Walk away from constant negativity. Walk away from manipulation. Walk away from disrespect. Walk away from relationships that require you to shrink yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. Many people mistake this for weakness. It is not weakness. It takes strength to leave what is familiar. It takes courage to choose your future over your comfort zone. It takes wisdom to recognize when loyalty has become self-destruction. You were not created to spend your life carrying the emotional baggage of people who refuse to take responsibility for their own actions. You are not meant to sacrifice your happiness to maintain relationships built on control, guilt, or negativity. Your life is valuable, your energy is valuable, your peace is valuable, and every day you spend surrounded by toxic influences is a day you cannot get back. Imagine what becomes possible when you stop wasting your energy on people who constantly drain it. Imagine how much stronger you become when your mind is no longer filled with doubt, criticism, and unnecessary conflict. Imagine how much faster you grow when your environment supports your progress instead of sabotaging it. The greatest transformation in your life may not come from adding something new. It may come from finally removing what has been holding you back all along. Choose peace over drama. Choose growth over attachment. Choose self-respect over approval. Choose your future over toxic familiarity. And never feel guilty for protecting the life you are trying to build. One of the most valuable things you possess is your energy. It is more valuable than money because money can be earned back, but energy, attention, and peace of mind are resources that once wasted can never be fully recovered. Yet many people give their energy away freely to anyone who asks for it. They spend hours listening to endless complaints, participating in unnecessary drama, and trying to fix people who have no desire to change. Over time, they wonder why they feel exhausted, frustrated, and unmotivated. The answer is simple: not everyone deserves access to your energy. Every person you interact with has an influence on your emotional and mental state. Some people inspire you. They encourage growth, bring positivity into your life, and challenge you to become better. After spending time with them, you feel stronger, clearer, and more focused. Other people have the opposite effect. They constantly criticize, gossip, complain, and create conflict wherever they go. They drain your enthusiasm and leave you feeling emotionally exhausted. The longer you allow these individuals unrestricted access to your life, the more difficult it becomes to maintain your own peace. Many people feel guilty about creating distance from negative influences because they believe kindness means always being available. However, kindness does not require sacrificing your well-being. You can care about someone without allowing them to consume your time, attention, and emotional strength. You can be respectful while maintaining boundaries. In fact, boundaries are often necessary for healthy relationships because they define what behavior you are willing to accept and what behavior you are not. Your energy determines the quality of your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions. When your energy is constantly drained by negativity, you have less focus for your goals, less patience for your loved ones, and less motivation to improve your life. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is responsible. It means choosing carefully who you listen to, who you trust, and who you allow to influence your mindset. It means understanding that your peace has value and that access to it must be earned through respect, honesty, and positive intention. The people who truly belong in your life will appreciate your boundaries, respect your growth, and contribute to your well-being rather than constantly taking from it. Many people underestimate the impact that relationships have on their future. They believe that their success depends only on talent, intelligence, or hard work. While those things are important, the people you surround yourself with can either accelerate your growth or quietly hold you back. Toxic relationships have a way of draining your potential without you even realizing it. They do not always destroy your dreams in a dramatic way. More often, they weaken your confidence little by little until you begin questioning your abilities, your goals, and your worth. A toxic relationship is not defined by occasional disagreements or difficult conversations. Every healthy relationship experiences challenges. Toxicity appears when negativity becomes a pattern. It shows itself through constant criticism, manipulation, jealousy, disrespect, dishonesty, or emotional control. Instead of encouraging your progress, a toxic person feels threatened by it. Instead of celebrating your achievements, they find ways to minimize them. Instead of helping you become stronger, they create doubt and insecurity. Think about how much energy is required to pursue meaningful goals. Success demands focus, discipline, emotional strength, and persistence. When you are trapped in a toxic relationship, a large portion of that energy is spent dealing with unnecessary stress. You spend hours overthinking conversations, defending your choices, managing conflict, or recovering from emotional exhaustion. The energy that could have been invested in learning, creating, improving, and growing is consumed by negativity. One of the most damaging effects of toxic relationships is their ability to change how you see yourself. When criticism becomes constant, you may start believing it. When someone repeatedly tells you that you are incapable, selfish, weak, or destined to fail, those messages can slowly become part of your internal dialogue. Over time, your confidence shrinks, your ambitions become smaller, and opportunities begin to feel out of reach. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships because they fear loneliness. They convince themselves that any relationship is better than no relationship. But being surrounded by negativity can be far more damaging than being alone. Solitude provides space for reflection, healing, and growth. Toxicity steals those opportunities and replaces them with stress, confusion, and self-doubt. Your potential is one of the greatest gifts you possess. It deserves an environment where it can develop and flourish. The people closest to you should inspire courage, support progress, and encourage personal growth. Relationships should add strength to your journey rather than constantly taking it away, because every moment spent carrying the weight of toxic influences is a moment that could have been used. Become the person you are capable of becoming. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern life is the belief that setting boundaries is selfish. Many people are taught that being kind means always saying yes, always being available, and always putting the needs of others before their own. As a result, they allow people to invade their time, drain their energy, and disrespect their limits. They remain silent when they feel uncomfortable, afraid that speaking up will disappoint someone or damage a relationship. Over time, this habit creates frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. The truth is that setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect. Boundaries are the standards that define how you expect to be treated. They communicate what behaviors you accept and what behaviors you refuse to tolerate. Without boundaries, people often take more than they give. They assume unlimited access to your time, attention, and emotional resources. They may interrupt your priorities, ignore your needs, or place unfair expectations upon you. When there are no clear limits, unhealthy patterns begin to develop. Many people struggle to establish boundaries because they fear rejection. They worry that others will think they are rude, difficult, or uncaring. However, a healthy relationship does not require you to sacrifice your well-being. People who genuinely respect you will understand your need for personal space, rest, and emotional balance. In fact, strong relationships often become stronger when boundaries are clearly communicated, because expectations are understood and respected by everyone involved. When you fail to set boundaries, you send a message that your needs are less important than the demands of others. This can slowly damage your self-worth. Every time you ignore your own limits to please someone else, you teach yourself that your feelings do not matter. Over time, this creates an unhealthy cycle where your happiness becomes dependent on the approval of others. Setting boundaries requires courage because it often means disappointing people who have benefited from your lack of limits. Some individuals may become upset, when they realize they can no longer control your time, emotions, or decisions. Their reaction does not mean your boundaries are wrong. It simply reveals how accustomed they had become to unrestricted access to your life. Self-respect begins with recognizing your value. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your peace of mind is valuable. Protecting these things is not an act of selfishness, but an acknowledgement of your worth. Every healthy boundary is a declaration that you understand your value and refuse to allow anyone to diminish it through disrespect, manipulation, or unreasonable demands, whether you realize it or not. The people around you have a powerful influence on the person you become. Human beings are deeply affected by their environment. The conversations they hear, the attitudes they observe, and the behaviors they experience every day slowly shape their thoughts, beliefs, and actions. This influence often happens so gradually that it goes unnoticed, yet over time, it can determine the direction of an entire life. That is why one of the most important decisions you will ever make is choosing the people you allow into your inner circle. Think about the habits, values, and mindset of the people you spend the most time with. If they constantly complain, make excuses, and blame others for their problems, there is a high chance that some of those attitudes will eventually influence you. Negativity is contagious. Pessimism spreads through repeated exposure. When you hear the same limiting beliefs day after day, they begin to sound reasonable. Eventually, they may become your own beliefs. The opposite is also true. When you surround yourself with disciplined, motivated, and positive individuals, their influence can elevate your thinking. Their standards become examples. Their work ethic inspires action. Their determination reminds you of what is possible. Spending time with people who are committed to growth encourages you to grow as well. Their mindset challenges you to raise your expectations and pursue goals with greater confidence. This does not mean that you must only associate with successful people or avoid anyone who faces difficulties. Every person experiences struggles. The difference lies in how they respond to those challenges. Some people focus on solutions, while others focus only on problems. Some people learn from setbacks, while others use setbacks as excuses to stop trying. The attitudes you consistently expose yourself to will eventually influence the way you approach your own obstacles. Many people carefully choose what they eat because they understand that food affects their physical health. Yet they pay little attention to the people they allow into their lives, even though those influences affect their mental and emotional health. Just as unhealthy food can weaken the body, unhealthy relationships can weaken ambition, confidence, and resilience. The company you keep becomes part of the environment that shapes your character. Your future is not determined solely by your individual choices. It is also influenced by the voices you listen to, the examples you follow, and the standards you accept. The people closest to you have the ability to either strengthen your vision or limit your potential. Every conversation, every interaction, and every influence leaves a mark, slowly shaping the person you are becoming each day. Many people believe that strength means holding on no matter what. They are taught that persistence is always admirable, that loyalty should never waver, and that walking away is a sign of failure. As a result, they continue investing their time, energy, and emotions into relationships, situations, and circumstances that no longer serve them. They remain attached to things that cause pain because they fear that letting go means giving up. In reality, letting go is often one of the strongest decisions a person can make. Holding on is sometimes easy because it is familiar. Even when a relationship becomes unhealthy or a situation becomes harmful, people often stay because they are comfortable with what they know. The fear of uncertainty can feel more intimidating than the pain of the present. They convince themselves that things might change, that tomorrow will be different, or that if they just try a little harder, everything will work out. Months turn into years, and they continue carrying burdens that prevent them from moving forward. Letting go requires a different kind of courage. It requires accepting reality instead of clinging to false hope. It means recognizing when something is no longer healthy, productive, or beneficial, and having the strength to walk away despite the emotional difficulty. This is not weakness. Weakness is remaining trapped in situations that continually damage your well-being because you are afraid of change. Strength is choosing growth even when it requires discomfort. Many people stay connected to toxic individuals because they fear loneliness. They tolerate disrespect, manipulation, and negativity because they believe having someone in their life is better than being alone. But true strength comes from understanding that peace is more valuable than unhealthy companionship. There are moments when protecting your mental and emotional health requires creating distance from people who consistently bring chaos into your life. Letting go also means releasing resentment, anger, and bitterness. Carrying emotional wounds for years only gives more power to the experiences that hurt you. Forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. It means refusing to allow the past to control your future. It means freeing yourself from the emotional weight that prevents healing and growth. Every meaningful transformation requires making room for something new. As long as your hands are tightly holding onto what is harmful, they cannot reach for what is better. Growth often begins the moment you stop fighting to keep things that are already leaving your life. True strength is not measured by how much pain you can endure, but by your willingness to release what no longer belongs in your journey and make space for a healthier future. Many people spend their lives searching for inner peace. They look for it in books, vacations, entertainment, and temporary distractions. They hope that one day they will wake up feeling calm, balanced, and free from stress. Yet despite their efforts, peace continues to feel distant. The reason is simple. Inner peace is not something that appears by accident. It is the result of daily choices, habits, and discipline. A peaceful mind is often built through disciplined actions in the external world. People often imagine peace as the absence of problems, but that is not how life works. Challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties are part of every human experience. If peace depended on perfect circumstances, very few people would ever experience it. True peace comes from learning how to respond to life rather than trying to control everything around you. That ability is strengthened through discipline. Consider how easily the mind becomes disturbed when life lacks structure. When sleep schedules are inconsistent, responsibilities are ignored, and distractions consume every free moment, stress begins to accumulate. Small problems become overwhelming, focus becomes difficult, anxiety increases, the mind struggles to find calm because the external environment is filled with disorder. Chaos on the outside often creates chaos on the inside. Discipline creates stability. Waking up on time, taking care of your health, managing your responsibilities, and using your time wisely may seem like ordinary actions, but they have a powerful effect on mental well-being. Every disciplined habit reduces unnecessary stress and creates a stronger foundation for emotional balance. When you consistently keep promises to yourself, you develop confidence and self-respect. These qualities contribute directly to inner peace. External discipline also includes being careful about what you allow into your life. The content you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the people you spend time with all influence your mental state. Constant exposure to negativity, Gossip, conflict, and distraction makes it difficult to maintain a peaceful mind. Discipline means choosing influences that support clarity rather than confusion and growth rather than negativity. Many people want peace without making the sacrifices that peace requires. They want calm while living in constant distraction. They want focus while avoiding responsibility. They want emotional stability while allowing unhealthy habits to dominate their daily lives. Peace is not merely a feeling. It is the outcome of repeated actions aligned with your values and priorities. A disciplined life does not guarantee that difficulties will disappear. It does, however, provide the strength, clarity, and resilience needed to face those difficulties without becoming overwhelmed by them. The more control you develop over your habits, reactions, and environment, the less control external circumstances have over your state of mind, creating the conditions where lasting peace can grow and remain stable.